This is your brain. And this
is your brain on top.
Hey, what's up? It's Tom. How's it going? It's been a hot minute. It's because it's been hot as fuck up in this bitch, so it's like been unbearable to sit in this room. So finally, it's doable. So I'm here. It's been so hot. So I haven't done a ton of stuff, mostly due to the fact that it's just been so hot. I just like lounge around like a blob. But I did watch a lot of certain stuff, and then played not many video games. It's too hot up here. Couldn't do it. But I guess I'll start with like the more general thing. And that's I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp. Not bad. Probably my least favorite villain, because like, well, I guess not only too many spoilers, but she was not great. She just didn't have like the motivation that made sense, and then everyone else is like, hey, don't, and then she was wrong. Like, not even like wrong, like, how do I want to put this? Wrong as in like morally wrong, but she was just like misinformed, and that was stupid. Like, that was, if she just like took a second and was like, I will listen to your perspective, she would be like, oh, Christ, averted. So that's kind of stupid, but very funny. Paul Rudd's hilarious. And like they've always kind of run Ant-Man similar to like a comedy. They don't really treat it like the other ones. You know, it's not Infinity War where everything's like, oh boy, it's crazy. But yeah, I was so confused at the beginning because I haven't seen the first Ant-Man in a long time, and I almost watched it again. And I was like, they usually do a good job like establishing things. And they re-caught me up, but I was like, fuck, I don't remember who the fuck was in this. I don't remember what went on during the movie. All I remember is like the very end when like they teased the Wasp, and that's all I can remember about that first movie. So they're like talking about like certain events that happened in the past, and I'm like, I kind of remember this, and like I kind of remember him being arrested, kind of, but not really. I don't remember how his character ended up in the end of Civil War, so like the way that started, I don't know. It got kind of confusing, trying to like remember what the fuck was going on, but otherwise, I enjoyed myself. I would recommend watching the first one again. I'm gonna get into mild spoilers here now. It's not mild. I'm just gonna get into spoilers because there's things I want to talk about that's to the greater cause of the whole thing. So yeah, one, the villain just being wrong. Like when they were like, "Oh, maybe the scientist lady could help you," and then she was like, "No," and then turns out she could. But I don't really understand like how that works or like how any of the quantum stuff worked, because like they would just kind of talk and then just throw the word quantum in things. And, like, they kind of joke about that. Like, Paul Rudd's like, you guys just add quantum to everything. But they kind of just do. And, like, I don't know. I can't tell if it's been... that's why I wish I watched the first one, because I don't remember how it was defined at all. Because it seems so vague and conceptual that, like, it could really apply to anything. Like, it was just, like, magic science. It does everything. And I don't really remember. I don't really understand how quantum space ties into becoming small or big, but it's like somehow shrinking down super small puts you into quantum space, and then you get through quantum. It was so confusing with like the actual technobabble of it, but I gotta say it's pretty amazing that like Marvel has come to this point where there's a bunch of people sitting in a crowd listening to a bunch of dorks just being like, in quantum fissures and the quantum space and the quantum thing, and they're just like saying all these weird techno-babbly terms, and everyone's like, yep, this makes sense. This is exactly what I came here for. And that's pretty impressive. I thought about that when during Infinity War, and they're just bouncing around planets and doing space shit, and like, this is so weird that everyone's like super amped for like it's becoming more and more sci-fi. And I didn't really realize that with like superhero stuff, how like ingrained it is with like sci-fi stuff. But when you sit back and think about it, with like, you know, Phoenix being part alien, and there's always some kind of alien character that like is part of a major team. Thor is technically an alien, so stuff like that. It's like, oh, weird. There's like a lot of like weird space stuff going on, always in comics for some reason. Like a lot of like, especially with like the Dark Phoenix thing in X-Men, I don't know why I'm thinking that specifically right now, but there's a lot of like weird like concepts and like space stuff and science insanity. But just come to the point where people are like, yep, this is amazing. This is what we want. And I think it's really impressive that they're able to, I mean, they slowly led you into it where they're like, hey, this is real normal stuff, right? Guy in super suit, you can wrap your head around that. He built it, whatever. And then just slowly turning it into like, and we're going real deep with crazy weird science and weird planet shit and like all this other stuff. It's fucking crazy that they've managed to like allow people to like proceed with that. What was the thing I wanted to talk about though? Oh, the ending. So like a question I kind of frequently have, because this movie's supposed to take place like kind of slightly before Infinity War, and like the thing that's kind of weird is like so they moved the Stinger ending or whatever, having them like the three of them, basically the Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, and I forget the Wasp's actress's name, but those three get dusted. What do people call it when Thanos kills you? I don't know, but they get murked by Thanos, which I was surprised by. I thought the Wasp was gonna make it in. I had heard someone like theorize that because the people who have survived are all like the original Avengers, both in terms of the movie as well as the comics. And Ant-Man was never he was never in that original like Avengers movie thing. And I know like people like my brother were like, oh my god, Ant-Man is part of the Avengers. Why are they just skipping this? Like he's one of the major like key roles of like why the Avengers happen, I guess, in the comics. I've never read it, but this is what I've been told. So I've heard theories that people are like, oh, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think those two were part of the original Avenger team, and then they were going to be like, it was going to be basically the comic book original Avengers, plus what's her face? Black Widow. She's alive, right? I think so. We're going to come back to do like the final push of this whole thing and be like, here's the team from the comics that certain like super nerds care about. But yeah, it's weird that they killed her. She got so little, but like screen time. But I guess they kind of did that with Spider-Man too, and like clearly he's getting another movie. But I also was recently thinking about that. So like they have the whole thing with Spider-Man, the Tom Holland, like he frequently spoils movie titles or something like that on Instagram usually. Some kind of video, be like, oh hey, they gave me this thing. I'm gonna show. Like I think he spoiled the Infinity War poster or something, which maybe gave the name. I forget. He's constantly spoils things, and he did like this thing where he's like, "Oh, I have the script for the next movie. Let's look at it." And what the image I had saw was, it was like an all black image, and then Spider-Man: Far From Home or whatever, but it was like written in like title font. Like it looked like the title that you'll see on the poster. So I'm pretty sure it's fake, and like the leaking is fake, and they kind of just want him to do it because he's like an adorable like I'm just so excited to be Spider-Man, and so he gets too excited and shows stuff off. I think the first time when he like freaked out when he showed, I think it was like the poster or something. I think that was an accident, but ever since they're like, oh, this is actually a cute little marketing thing. Let's do this every single time. Have him spoil something. But I'd be curious. So I guess they're not technically, unless they rematerialize. Oh, well, actually, no, that makes sense because he died on another planet. So, like, because I was originally thinking there's a possibility that, like, you don't get killed, you just get put to another dimension, which would be interesting. But even if he does rematerialize, he would be on another planet, so he does have to figure out how to get back home from space. So I guess that does. So it doesn't necessarily mean that's the case of what's happening, but I would be curious to see how that all plays out. And I'm very interested in seeing how the whole thing plays out. It's actually weird. I was thinking about it on my way in to see the movie that I was like, oh, damn. This is it for 2018. This kind of sucks. And it's like weird. I've never really, before maybe 2017, 2016, whenever it was, when I really rewatched all of them, I could give less of a fuck. I just didn't care about Marvel movies at all. Because I didn't watch them in order. I had just kind of watched the ones that had like interested me. I'm like, oh, I remember this character being pretty cool from this one thing I've seen or whatever. This thing over here was really neat, or this one comic I had picked up as a kid and I thought this one was cool. So I would like pick and choose. Like I never watched any of the Thor movies. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy because people said it was good. I didn't really care for them. I mean, no one really cared for them, I guess, at the time. But like, I watched Avengers, but I didn't watch. I saw Iron Man and Captain America not Captain America, and the Hulk, which I didn't realize was canon until recently, like within the last year. Those are like the only two I saw. Then I saw Avengers, and then like I was like, what is going on? This is so like this is weird, and like what's going on? Like I know who these characters are, but like I don't really have any connection to them, and like they're vaguely talking about events, but whatever, I'll move on. And like whatever, you can get through. But like having gone back and watched all of them, it's far more enjoyable. Like it's weird how much like they're kind of all one piece, and like they kind of all work towards like one greater movie. It's kind of the same way with like Kingdom Hearts, where all of the games, 9 games tie into each other. I guess technically 8, and then the phone game does only kind of add slight bits of information, more towards the greater sense of the universe than it does the actual story with Sora and Xehanort and all that kind of stuff. Although I do have a theory of how that all plays in together, but we'll see. I'll stick it to Marvel right now. We won't get to my crazy fucking wild Kingdom Hearts theories. But I do think it's interesting comparing those two. They're both super wacky and weird, but I think the Marvel built a better base. Like, because like when Marvel started, when this Marvel Cinematic Universe started, they didn't pick heroes that people really knew. No one knew who Iron Man was. People knew who the Hulk was, but Edward Norton didn't even continue playing him. Like I didn't even realize he was in this universe until, or that was the same movie for this universe until like this year, maybe early last year, when I found out that that actually tied together. I had no idea. And like Captain America, people knew, and like that was it. Like no one really knew who Thor was. No one really knew. Like I had ideas I knew from things playing different video games that these characters played, were in or whatever. Stuff like that. Reading the occasional comic that you would stumble upon as a child when you didn't understand how comics worked or anything like that. But yeah, so like it's they picked this concept of like no one cared too much, and like they Thor has magic, Thor has some like weird stuff, but they didn't really get into the wacky shit until I guess Phase 3 with like Ant-Man Ant-Man in general. I think he was Phase 2 technically, but like Ant-Man and Doctor Strange and like all that wacky stuff, and then by Infinity War, we're getting to the point where we're just space traveling. We're basically an episode of Star Trek over here. It's just wacky shit. People are just going all over the place. Guardians of the Galaxy too, to some extent. Yeah, it's just so odd. It's so odd that like it's become that so popular. And then like Kingdom Hearts, it kind of just it almost did the Disney thing almost does a disservice, because people go in going like, oh, Disney, I know that, and then it's like, oh, there's nothing like that. There's nothing like I thought I knew. Like it's very weird. So there's like two camps with Kingdom Hearts of people going in like, oh, I just like Disney stuff and I want to watch I want to play the Disney movies out. And then there's the crazies like myself who are like, no, I'm more interested in the anime half of this, where it's like very weird and very strange, but seemingly is planned out and it seems like it's weird because it's all kind of a mystery. Or like in Kingdom Hearts, we're all just kind of assuming Nomura knows what's happening, and that this will all play out in a way that's it's not going to upset people, and there won't be like so many loose ends. Because like it's always kind of hinting towards something, and there's always some mystery with something, and like there's something. It definitely since like I don't know 2 maybe, it's been very clear. Oh, I guess the Chain of Memories, I guess, because that's the organization's brought in, but definitely by 2, it's seemingly noted that there's like he's got some kind of plan. There's some kind of roadmap set up so that we can get from point A to point B. Because there's something special. I mean, and especially in the later games, like the more recent ones, a lot of these hidden videos are like. But actually, yeah, it's actually funny too. They do the same thing as Marvel. They have like an after credits sequence that you have to unlock because it's a video game. But yeah, they have an after credits sequence where they're teasing something for the next one, and everyone's like, "Oh my fucking god, what does this mean?" People are fucking trying to. I mean, the Marvel ones are a little more clear. It's like, this thing happened. Oh, great, got it. Or like, oh, that footage that or the fucking set images that leaked. That's what this is referencing to. It's like with the Captain Marvel thing. I keep saying Miss Marvel, but it's a different character. Well, it's the same character, but is now a different person. And I recently found out what that was. It's adorable. It's a girl who is just a really big fan of Miss Marvel. Who is now Captain Marvel, and is like, oh, well, I'll be Miss Marvel then. Like, I'll take that old name back. And, like, it's adorable. She's, like, a high school kid who's, like, super powered, but, like, I'll be Miss Marvel. And I find that absolutely adorable. Because I didn't know what it was. Because I remember seeing pictures of this character. I mean, like, I don't understand. I thought it was Captain Marvel, but I don't. Is it? Is it not? Because I actually I've like never seen any imagery for Captain Marvel. I just know that's what people call her now. I no idea, and I forget her name. Carol's her name, and that's all I know. But then to see this new girl come in, and be like, oh, that's why how she ties in. That's why she wears the old outfit, because she's just a big fan of the old identity of that character. But like in canon, they both exist. I find that so sweet. But yeah, for me, I'm so outside of comics that I hear stuff about like the Spider-Verse, and oh, this Spider-Man now exists because of this parallel universe, and then this thing happened with this one, and there's different people. Like, I just recently discovered that Silk exists, who has a fucking pimp costume, by the way. Holy shit. She looks so sick. Yeah, it's like there's all these dimensions, all this stuff going on, and then there's all this space nonsense. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. This is Kingdom Hearts. This is, like, when I think about Kingdom Hearts and talk about it and all that shit, people are like, what the fuck is going on? I'm that way with the Spider-Verse. Every time I hear someone talk about, like, Spider-Verse or even just greater Marvel canon, I'm always like, wait, what? Who is this person now? Why is there another person here? I can't keep up half the names of people. And so it's a similar idea of just like, but Marvel has always built a better base. Whereas if you weren't in on the anime bullshit at game one, you were not going to be able to follow what was happening, because it's so wacky. And like with the fact that they're not numbered properly, but again, comics are numbered properly and people can follow that. It's just, that doesn't help putting it all together and like what's happening and what order it happens in. So there's just a long way for me to say play every game. Don't just skip them because they don't have a number. It's not how this works. But yeah, it's just Marvel's been pretty fucking swell lately. I'm so surprised at myself being like, oh, I can't believe I really want to see this. Like, I really want to see more. And I'm pretty sure this is the last one for 2018, and then I think Captain Marvel opens up the 2019. I think, but it's just and it's pretty cool because every once in a while if I sit in the theater, like I got to Ant-Man kind of late, so I was sitting with like down in the front, so like usually where like people take their kids and shit. So there's like this little kid trying to ask all these questions. I actually hadn't seen Infinity War, and the dad was like, "Oh no, it's this and this," and he can explain it all. And I was like, "Oh, this is so kind of neat to hear all this shit and like why this stuff is, how people are keeping up, and like it's just fascinating that people are so are just so into this." There we go. But yeah, I'm definitely down for more, personally. I wish this wasn't the end of 2019. Fuck, we got such a long wait. And honestly, I think that was Disney's plan, based on if Star Wars did well. I think they were trying to squeeze those in, like the winter, although they put Solo out pretty early, so I guess that theory's bunk. But that's what I thought, at least, because it would make sense. Like, why, like, as Disney, to put stuff in like winter for Star Wars, and then, which is what they should have did for Solo, because it was so it was just so recent from Last Jedi, and like a lot of people, myself included, don't like The Last Jedi. So like, but I like Solo, so like, but I understand people would just be like, I'm done, I'll wait till episode 9, I don't need another one. And it's funny too, because like I'm sitting over here being like, damn, we got 3 Marvel movies this year and that's it, fuck. And we got 1 Star Wars movie, and most people, and even to some extent, I kind of understand it, like the mentality of like, well, Solo was okay. Like, like people are like, it wasn't the worst thing, but we didn't need it. And it's like, well, this is true. We did not need it. I enjoyed it, but we didn't need it. So I can kind of see, like, it's funny that like Star Wars is something that most people, flashback 10 years ago, you're like, would you want to see, more of this Iron Man thing that's coming out, or would you want to see a Star Wars every year? And we're like, oh, Star Wars, 100%. And for some reason, that's just kind of fully shifted. I guess because like the Marvel being built from like Kevin Feige from moment one, and we've kind of lost, like with George Lucas being kind of like his goal with the franchise is different than what most people want of the franchise. So then they pull in a third party, and she's got this idea that's vastly different than what another group of people want, and it's like weird, like nothing is meshing together with Star Wars. I mean, that's been the problem since '99. where like it's just like, oh wait, no, wait, we wanted the thing there from the 80s, and now you're doing this thing. And this isn't right. And then they reboot it, and it's like, oh, this is interesting. This is close. Let's see if you stick. Oh no, it's still kind of off. Not exactly. So I don't know. I guess people have like having. I guess if they did this with like the MCU, whatever, years and years later, 30 years later, whatever. I wonder if they would have a similar thing. I was like, no, it's not the thing I grew up with. This is vastly different. I like this less. I wonder if that would be the case, because I remember, ever since like, it's weird too, because like I remember growing up before Phantom Menace. I mean, granted, I was a small child, so I wasn't interacting with people. I didn't realize people didn't even like Return of the Jedi until I was like, I don't know, in high school. I didn't realize that people didn't like that movie. And I was like, what? Come on. But I didn't think that they could be bad ever, And then like even watching, I remember the first time I realized like I didn't like some Star Wars movies was when 3 came out. And like I had fallen asleep like 2 or 3 times before that movie came. Like I had finished it, and I was like, "Boy, this is not a fun movie to watch." There's not a lot going on here. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out with Marvel. I hope it works out. I'd be curious to see what's going down, how it all plays out. Oh, actually, interesting. So we only have 2 for 2019. Oh no, 3. Oh, post phase 3 is what they're calling it. Okay, so there's 3 for 2018, and then 2020? Oh, 3, and okay, I guess that makes sense. They're doing 3 a year. That kind of sucks. 3 a year? Damn. I guess that's weird, right? It's just so weird that I keep thinking that way. Well, regardless, hopefully it all works out. Hopefully all Kingdom Hearts works out. I would really, really enjoy that. That would be great if that could fucking happen correctly, and I'm not sad. I'm not sad forever. Because that's just, oh boy, we're so close. We're so close to having it done, but it could be bad. It could be bad. 3D was not good. That was not good for everything, because it just added so much. But I guess it kind of had to happen. I don't know. I have to play 3D again. I've only played it the one time, and that ending is bananas. So like, if you need to like, if you're like unsure, rather, I don't know about that. Yeah, if I had been warned, rather. Let's put it that way. So I was warned that the ending of 3D was crazy. And I got there, and it was crazier than I anticipated. So, yeah, 3D is so weird with the fucking time travel and the multiple Xehanorts and da-da-da-da. Like, what is going on? How is this possible? Why are you like this? So, maybe one day it'll all come back together, but for now, it's crazy. Hopefully they fucking stick this landing. It's been so long. That's the problem, too. It's been so long. Like, 3D came out in 2012? Is that right? That seems wrong. I'm hoping that's wrong. I'm hoping I'm incorrect, because that seems so long ago. And like that was like the last like major one. And they've been releasing these like collections since, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I really hope it works out, because it's just 2012. Yeah, fuck. That's so crazy how long ago that was. That was the last I mean, they had like the demo 0.2 that adds to the story, but we've been writing on the phone game and collections for years now. And it's supposed to it's going to come out finally. Let's hope. I assume it's already been delayed once. I think it's going to be delayed again, probably. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully not, but it's going to be I don't trust them. It's a lot to carry, and like it was already kind of a lot to like juggle with. Just how the nobodies and somebodies and Heartless and all that shit work together. And then you add the Unversed in, but that's very how do I put that? The Unversed are not like a major player in like the greater scheme of Kingdom Hearts. It's just Vanitas that's tied to, and that's why the whole Vanitas thing with Monsters Inc. is a thing. But Vanitas being alive brings up questions now, like what's going on there? How did that happen? So. And then, of course, the entirety of the end of 3D. And, like, actually, even some of these trailers have now sprung up questions with, like, I thought Aqua was going to be one of the 7 Keyblade wielders of light, but turns out she's been Norded, so she'll probably be one of the 13 of darkness. So then, like, who else is there? Like, I don't know. Could be anyone, but I'm hoping, honestly, in a weird way, I'm kind of hoping Syx gets turned back. That'd be kind of cool, I think. I don't think it's going to happen. but I think that'd be kind of cool. Have Lee and no, what is his name? Isa? I think it's Isa. I think. Having them fight together as Keyblade wielders against Darkness, but he's turbo Norded, so there's no. I don't see that being a chance. I don't know. That'd be a tough one to play. I don't know. That'd be maybe, hopefully. I don't know. My one wacky theory though, which is possible, but there's a part in the end because I recently replayed Terra's story. And at the end of Terra's story, when you're fighting Xehanort, there's a lot of important shit that gets talked about in that. So it's very easy to miss a lot of stuff that's going on. There's a lot of information, both visually and in dialogue. And the one that's kind of weird that I picked up, I feel like every time I play Birth by Sleep, I pick up something that's weird and new. Xehanort says something to the effect of, I told myself I'd get through the Keyblade War and survive to this moment or something to that effect. And then with the beginning of that game, with Ventus being kind of a dead doll type thing, or he's like a kind of in a coma, I guess. But when he brings him there too, he's like, oh, this world without life or something, this prison world or something, talking about Destiny Island, which is strange. And then Ventus puts his key up and opens this whole thing, and my initial thought was, oh, does that mean that Ven brought life to Destiny Island? Which, Ven being over 100 years old actually kind of makes more sense. I had thought that before we got to that point in the phone game, before that was kind of shown, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And I told it to a friend. He's like, well, how would that work? People just blink into existence at age 40? And I was like, I don't know, I guess. Hearts just exist in the space universe. They'd probably just come to the light and just birth people, and then just generations move from there. But now that Ven is also hundreds of years old, it makes even more sense, probably, that Ven may have brought life to Destiny Island. But my wackier theory is that the Ven we see in Birth by Sleep is actually Xehanort, and that our Ven we know is a clone, is what I think, possibly. Because Xehanort's really fucking old, and he probably has done other soul transfers potentially, so that's possible. Oh man, you know what I should do? I should look at the fucking. Maybe this is horribly disproven if I watch the older E3 trailer where it's Ericus and Xehanort playing weird space, or no, what are they? They're playing a weird chess game, which I guess is the opening of 3. If I can remember what he looks like, I could look it up, but I don't care that badly. I think, but yeah, something to that effect, where it's he's a clone, or he tried to make him a vessel out of that's what he was trying to do. He's trying to use Ven as a vessel, but if Ven is several hundred years old, that's well. I don't know, maybe. Well, no, because that wouldn't make any sense why he'd be because he's an old man when he's trying to do that. And he's training Ven. And he's training Ven. But that could have happened whenever. We don't know when that happened. There's no timeline of when that happened. We just know it happened after the Keyblade War, because they're in the Keyblade graveyard when they're doing their training in Birth by Sleep, or when they flash back to it. So all we know is it's post Keyblade War. And then he brings Ven's semi-zombie body into the land of departure. That's all we really know. There's just from Keyblade War or Keyblade Graveyard training to the Destiny Island thing, which I think is what ties him and Sora together, kind of that's what brings the heart there or something. I forget exactly how it all plays out. That's the weird thing too, is a lot of it flashes around in time, so it's hard to know unless you have the full picture. And so as the game has been releasing updates of in various formats, it's become more and more clear. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts is a good fun. It's fun to just think about it and be I wonder how this works. Why does it work that way? Could this be possible? I don't know. I wonder if this is a thing. And I just find it very fun. That all for that? I guess so. The other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of TV, until I went on my Kingdom Hearts tangent, as we do on the show, would be, I just got through Power Rangers Turbo, and then it got into In Space. Turbo was goofy and wacky. It was really weird. Everyone finally got comfortable with what they were doing. which I kind of get, because I bet if you're like an actor who only kind of knows the program of the show, I don't want to call it a program like I'm a 70-year-old man, but if you're kind of familiar with it, because it was really popular, but like if you'd have to be a little bit older to be in the show, so you might not have watched it, you might just kind of know about it, throughout time, whatever. The people who were on that previously, like, were on it the whole time, like pretty much from, Mighty Morphin into Zeo. We only had a couple of major, handoffs, pretty much the same cast, so everyone was pretty comfortable with what they were doing, and so for me as a viewer, I have a very particular standard of like, who the leaders, like how they act and all that kind of stuff. So when the transition started, TJ was very like calm. He was very quiet. I think he was just kind of getting into it, figuring out what he had to do, and then he found it by the end of it. But it's just a wacky fucking concept. It's like, hey, we have the power of car that we built, and then here's this wacky space pirate lady who I love, and she's going to take her space submarine into the lake of the town, and then she's going to throw car-based monsters at us, or other various things. And then eventually, they go and get a car space station, but it still doubles as a submarine. And then, that's that. They're just, they're in space doing it, and it's so wacky that, like, that's it. She's like this weird pirate lady, and then they're weird car people, and it's weird. It's such a weird concept, but I mean, whatever. It's fun, but it ended. It's the last season, I believe, that they lose, because weirdly, well, they didn't really lose in Zeo. Zeo just kind of stopped, because I think they were relying too much on the movie to like tie all that together. They probably could have used one more episode, but they didn't, unfortunately. So like, but they generally like lose and then they have to get to the next power set or whatever. Between series, like between seasons 1 and 2 of Mighty Morphin, I don't think anything happens. I think it's just we're just a new season. Like we just move on. It's just here we are. But yeah, like at the end of Mighty Morphin entirely, at the end of season 3, they lose hard. And then Alien Rangers start up and they kind of win. Really they just get back on their feet. And Zeo goes through. And that kind of just peters out. And then the movie happens, they get their new turbo powers, they lose again. Pretty hard. And then they have to go off in space because there's like this whole wacky what even is it? It's like a big like space. What are they? They're like a villain not unit. What am I trying to say? It's like a villain thing. I don't even know what to call them. They're like a big league, I guess. League of bad guys. Sure, let's call it that. I can't remember what they're actually called. And yeah, so they're like, oh shit, Divatox is going up there, and then like Rita and Zed are up there, and the Machine Empire's up there, and like, oh god, they don't know that, but we see that. And we're like, oh boy. And then they're like, Divatox's like, hey, I fucking beat the Power Rangers. I'm the one who's gonna help Dark Sector, who's like the big bad of the whole franchise at this point. We just didn't know it, but he was. And she's like, I'll do it again. I got this. I'll go finish them off. And then he's like, nah, this other chick, she gonna do it. What the fuck's her name? I'm only like 6 episodes into In Space. I'm not totally like attached to her name right now. What is it? Astronema, that's what it was. She's wonderful too. Love her. But she's like this, I guess she's like a prodigy space evil person. So they're like, nah, she got it. And so she takes over for Divatox. But Elgar stays with her, which is strange. I don't know why. I don't know why that happened. Like in post, like in the like behind the scenes. I don't know why they picked it. I don't know if he was super popular or something. He's a lot of fun, but it's very strange that they're like, nah, just keep the suit, keep going. So that's weird. Because there's gonna be no Japanese footage of him there. And it was weird too in Turbo because like the Japanese Elgar is vastly different than the American one because the American one's like really goofy and like the Japanese one has like really heavy like red lines over his eyes, so he has like these like really intense looking face, and they like tone that shit way down for the North American one, so they took all that out. He's got like this goofy looking face as opposed to like a really angry evil looking dude face. It's really weird that they changed it so dramatically, but they kept him again, which is weird. But yeah, so they kept him and then he's around, so he's fun always. But yeah, then Astronoma's dope, and then they have this like guy called Eclipsor who is fucking rad as fuck. I had a toy of him as a kid. I loved it. I think he's I think he's someone's dad, and I think it's the bad guy. I think it's her dad. I remember there being a part where he's like, "Oh, I'm this person's father or whatever." Blah blah blah. I can't remember how it went though. I think he's like a robot, or someone put his remaining consciousness in a robot. I forget, because he's supposed to be a robot in the Japanese show. But I don't remember if he's supposed to be in this. He's been in the show like in weird amounts of time. Like he's not really connected to Astronema in any way. He's just kind of also a bad guy, but like they're kind of together, I think. I don't know. It's kind of odd, but it's a pretty fun show. They have little stats for all of the Rangers when they do in the last few episodes I watched, they didn't do the transformation sequence. They just have like this little tube they jump down and they transform. But yeah, they have like little transformation sequences. Everyone has stats. Actually, the Black Ranger is the strongest one by like a pretty wide margin. I mean, everything's like kind of varies by like 50 points, except for the blue and yellow Ranger are like wicked weak for some reason. They're 930. I wrote all the numbers down. They're 930. Red and pink are 1050, and then black is 1100. Weird. I don't know why he's like the strongest one, but he is. I don't think he had any downside, right? They have like attack, defense, and speed stats. It's very interesting. I thought it was very cute. I hope more things do this, because I like stats. I like graphs too, and I hope things bring them with me. I want them. Yeah, I thought that was weird, but I love it. They all have really cool Well, the Black Ranger and the Red Ranger have cool weapons. The Red Ranger has like a spiral sword, which is pretty cool. It looks like a drill, but whatever. They call it the spiral saber. I'll play along. And the lunar staff, I think, is what it's called. Or lunar spear, maybe. I forget what it is, but it's like a big staff with a moon on the end of it. This is the Black Ranger's one. And then for some reason, and I can't remember the names of these, but Yellow Ranger has a slingshot, and Pink has a satellite dish thing that she holds in her hand. It kind of looks like in Metal Gear Solid 2, the little like sound amplifier thingy you had to use in that one part where you had to figure out who of all the people that were captured, like who the person that you had to find was. It was like a little sound enhancer thing, and like that's what it looks like. And then Blue has an axe, but we've seen axes. We've seen axes before. They're not exciting. It's weird. It's really strange that Yellow and Pink get these like really weird weapons. I mean, I guess Slingshot's not as weird as a satellite, but it's so weird. It's like, oh yeah, I have a satellite dish that shoots lasers. Sure. But yeah, it's really fun. I really enjoy in space. The Japanese version of that show, I guess it really, no one I think it really does. I think it depends on the Japanese footage, because a lot of Turbo's Japanese footage is whack. Because like I think like the first episode is named like something to the effect of like traffic safety in the Japanese version. So like conceptually, Turbo is absolutely bananas. Like such a weird concept, so fucking strange. Whatever. Like, so I think what it is like, and the Japanese one for in space, they're like the Mega Rangers or whatever, and they have M's all over them. And like, I've never noticed it until I happened to figure out that, oh, that's what they were supposed to be called. And so like, oh, okay, so the big logo that they all have on their jackets when they're like just being themselves is just also interesting. They just stopped being high school kids. They just left. They're just like, oh, we have space things to deal with. We're going to go to space. So they went to space, and they're not like, because like they made like a big deal of like the Zeo kids graduating, or yeah, I guess they were the Zeo kids graduating when they went to Turbo and all that. So like the only one that was in school was Justin. They all had jobs, whatever. Like I mean, was it the opening of Turbo? One of the first few episodes was their graduation, or was that the end of Zero? I forget. There's an episode of like their graduation, and like they make a big deal of them not being in high school anymore, but for some reason doesn't matter. They're just like, nah, we space now, which is strange. But yeah, they just like hang out in space, and they have like these like space jackets. It's like little kid Star Trek. Like their little space station. They got little outfits, and they hit buttons, and they talk with techno stuff, and it's fun. But yeah, they have like these M's all over the place, or like they look like a left isosceles triangle. Is that what that's called? When like the right angle. Or is that a right triangle? I don't remember. It's like a couple of triangles. And like it makes like, oh no, isosceles is the pizza one? I don't remember. I don't know math. But like it's like 3 triangles. Like it's a big M is what it's supposed to be. And like I never noticed that as a kid. I didn't realize it, and I only recently realized it too. I was like, oh shit, okay. But this is the season with the Psycho Rangers, who are fucking dope. There's a lot of cool shit that goes on in this season that I can like vaguely remember, and like I'm pretty stoked. One of the episodes I just watched though was it was the crossover episode with the Ninja Turtles live action show called The Next Mutation, which as a kid I never watched. I didn't realize it existed until probably I was in high school. That's when they add the female turtle Venus, who was psychic, and I believe the show is widely disliked, and I was reading up on that episode on the wiki. Apparently a lot of fans don't consider that one canon, and it kind of makes sense, because like even if it's like this is ridiculous that they're hanging out with turtles, and for some reason they know who they are, but they don't know, and like they know who each other are, but like what? That's so weird. And like they didn't believe the Rangers existed. And I'm like, if anything is around, the Rangers would be considered like in the news. I guess these in space ones haven't done a lot on Earth where they'd be on the news, but like you would know that Power Rangers exist from like the last few years in canon of like Power Rangers doing stuff. And like you probably wouldn't know the Turtles exist. Maybe like a rumor that they existed or something. Whatever. Well, that was my thing with Ant-Man. I'm gonna go back for a second here. They do a thing where like at the end of it, they're just like hanging out or whatever, and it's like I feel like you would know like on the news about like what happened, because like the way it's timing up with like Infinity War, like the people in Infinity War, they don't see the news footage of Ant-Man stuff going on, and like the Ant-Man people don't see the footage of what was just going on in like New York for the Infinity War stuff. I find that really weird. So they were just so nonchalant at the end of that movie when like clearly big things are about to happen, but I digress. This same thing, where it's like, why would you, like, of course they would know they exist, but like they pretended like they didn't. They're like, those are comic book characters. It's like, that's weird. Why would you say that? And like, I don't know. It's very strange how they played out. But yeah, it's like, Astronema like gets their spaceship and like takes it over and stuff, and it's like, this is weird. This seems like a thing that she'd be able to do. Like, to do this 4 episodes in, like, seems kind of crazy. Like, what? Okay. So I kind of understand like what people would be like, this is probably not canon because it's kind of ridiculous that this would play out like this. But apparently the Christmas episode of Zeo is canon, which upsets me to no end, but what are you going to do? Some people say it's not, and I recently read somewhere that it was because of something. I forget what it was. Something happened, and they were like, no, this is definitely canon. And I was like, fuck. I mean, Tommy Cat is the real deal. That's the real business, and I'm not about I'm not about that. It's Tommy Kimberly, through and through. But yeah, I haven't watched a ton of In Space. I've just been like recently rewatching it and be like, oh, this is fucking a delight. It's really fun. I like it a lot. I like a lot of the designs. The suits are fucking sick. They're very minimalist, but they're fucking sick. I love them so much. I had a toy of the Red Ranger and the Black Ranger, I think, too. But the red one, I think, stayed intact the longest. I think we broke the black one. We were very hard on our toys. I don't think I have a single Power Ranger toy with a limb still. I don't think I do. Maybe the Ninja Storm one, but I got that way later in life. I didn't go crazy with that one as much as I did all the other ones. But yeah, it's good fun. I'm enjoying it so far. I hope it's as good as Zeo. Zeo, like, I've been sitting on it or like thinking about. Zeo's amazing. Zeo's fucking great. Zeo's so good. And it's because it keeps a cast. It's one cast. Everything's, everyone knows how to work with each other, stuff like that. So it really, really benefits the whole program. I keep saying program. What's wrong with me? I'm not 75 years old. All right. What else? Oh, I started, a quick side note, because I've only watched 2 episodes of it, but I started watching Steins Gate, which I've been told to watch since it came out in 2011, and I think I've only watched the first episode maybe 4 times. I've never continued it. I don't know why. Don't dislike it. Just don't continue. I don't know why. It seems like it's really cool and like a really cool idea. So I think this is gonna be the time. I'm gonna try to actually get through Steins Gate this time. I'm actually gonna watch the whole thing. Let's hope. That'd be really good if I actually could fucking watch the whole goddamn thing. Because apparently it's amazing and like really fucking good. And there's this new season of Steins Gate 0, I believe it's called. And that's like, because it's all based on a visual novel. So I think, I want to say the first version, the first show is just like one timeline of it. And then like, this is another timeline because it's, or another, yeah, not timeline, path, I guess, is what you call it. Because that's what they've done with the Fate series. Like there's a couple of Fate visual novels, probably way more now, but like, they would just pick a path, like, oh, this is the path that if you picked, this character to go to win the whole thing, we'll go down this path, and now we'll animate this path if we went and did this character, and they like did that for like a ton of seasons. Apparently, I've only watched like 2 episodes of Fate's Stay Night, and I was like, this is weird, and I don't care. I just didn't continue. And then later finding out I'm the wrong one. There's a bajillion episodes of the show. Everyone fucking loves it. It's all over the place. Bananas, absolute bananas. What else? I guess we'll just wrap up. We'll do this one mildly quick, but I'm going to talk about, wrap up with Guild Wars 2. Playing that a lot lately. Basically just pushing through the story, because it's like pretty story driven. Like there's the personal story, which is like the vanilla game, and then they do this like this living world thing. They do it in seasons, and they release them every few months. And they're like, things that bridge the gap between major expansions, I guess, is like the thought process behind it. There's just the one season 1 you can't play. You have to like watch a little video they make for you. It's like 5 minutes long, maybe 3 minutes. Kind of going over the events of what happened, which is pretty helpful. Like I was somewhat familiar with what happened in season 1, because like I still follow all of them on social media, so throughout the years stuff would pop up and stuff like that during that when I wasn't playing, but I would see it. And then I had gone and read a bunch of stuff on it when I had found like the remnants of like an event there. I was like, what is this? And I like read into it. I was like, oh, this is season 1. Interesting. Okay, so I'm playing through season 2 right now. But yeah, it's pretty cool. The story's interesting. It's way too hard. I don't understand why it's so difficult for the story. Like it feels like it should be done with multiple people, but it's done solo, and it's really weird. Like WoW does this type of thing where like you're playing like an event, a story thing, for whatever reason, and like it's very clearly designed for one person. Like it's a big boss or a big bad or whatever, and you're fighting it, but it's very designed for one person. And like very frequently, you're having to respawn. I'm having to respawn and then fight it. They don't regain health. Luckily, you can just keep pounding away to just run at them over and over and over again. But like it's really stupid that you even would die, because it breaks the fiction of like you being this huge badass. So it's like really odd, and like it's partially skill, but at the same time, there's so much shit on the field at all times. Like sometimes it's just like, here's 14 AoE circles, go fuck yourself. You or like during the personal story, you're fighting basically zombies the whole time, and they're these zombies called brutes. They have like these big hammers, and their big thing was stunning you. And then there's these other ones called abominations. They had like a shoulder charge. And at one point, I got hit with a brute hit because I just missed the dodge, or I missed the stun, whatever I was trying to do. I missed it. Got knocked down. Then got knocked, or while the knockdown, because the knockdown time is infinite too. It's like fucking 3 seconds. You're just on the ground, taking damage. Then as I'm getting up, the other brute hit knocked me down. And then an abomination came and charged and tackled me, and then threw me into the other abomination that was tackling and killed me. And I was like, I literally couldn't even play. Like I made one mistake and I died instantly. Like it's just over. And this happens frequently throughout the story, where it's just like, oh, I made one wrong move and I'm dead. And I don't know, and like I'm like obviously the penalty isn't horrible, but it's really fucking annoying to just like, oh well, I couldn't do anything. And then the fiction of you being this like, warring badass is just shattered. You're like, well, I fucking died. Like in real life, I would be dead here. Like this would be it, because like the way this played out. So I don't know. I'm trying to get through this so I can get to the next expansion, the first expansion, which gives me, because I'm playing Thief right now, gives you Daredevil, which basically plays Robin. Basically, you have like a staff. You do a lot of dodging and stuff, and like a lot of it gives you like dodges back. So like if you dodge and then do a move, you get some endurance back to be able to get to your next dodge, and like I think it feeds into it, so you're far more mobile and you're far more active, which would be way more interesting for me, and a little bit more in line with what I'm trying to do. But yeah, very frequently it's like, why is this so hard? Why is it like this right now? I do not understand. Like, this is crazy. Or like, yeah, it just feels like, and like some of them too, like they have like NPCs go and fight with you, like, oh, this feels right. And then other times it's like, nope, they just, either their AI broke or like they don't trigger until I do this next thing. So I'm going to do this whole thing by myself while they just stare and watch me get fucking my dick stomped. And like, luckily thieves have an elite skill that lets you summon a couple other thieves, like I think it's called like Thieves Guild or something, so you can summon like 3 other guys. And that helps clear a lot of stuff, but like, it's crazy hard when sometimes it's like, oh, that's off cooldown, and the NPCs seemingly broke, and they're not moving anymore, so now I'm just going to fight this thing by myself, or this fucking crowd of enemies by myself, and just get myself tossed around like an asshole. And it's really annoying. It's really, really frustrating, but the story itself is very cool. There's a lot of cool shit going on. With this, like, army against this Elder Dragon, or the war against the Elder Dragon, and like attacking this old human settlement that was taken over by the Elder Dragon. Then like the season 1 stuff was like this crazy woman was like, I'm going to, I don't even know what was her objective. I forgot what her objective was, but it was like, because I only saw the video, I couldn't really read it. I couldn't really play it, but she was like taking over different people so she could trigger these ley lines, which no one really knew what they did, but she seemed to know what they do, and it turns out they would awaken an Elder Dragon. But like, she was like dominating there's like lesser races that are far more like animalistic. They're like closer to animals than they are like sentients. So like dominating them and making them work for her and building all this stuff and taking over huge swaths of areas and destroying towns and cities and stuff. Like really crazy stuff. And then this season 2 seemingly is like aftermath of that. And then moving in towards like, we think this one ley line exploded. What's going on? Let's go check that out. They walk over there and they go take care of that stuff. But I'm very recent into it, so we'll see where it all goes, but I'm enjoying the story. I enjoy seeing it play out. I just want to get to Daredevil so I can like actually do a little bit more here, but I guess that's all I've really done. It's been so hot, I couldn't like do anything. I've read like a little bit of Dune, but that's it. Rereading Dune, but I haven't really gone like through a ton of it. But anyway, is there anything else? I don't think so. I'm gonna go chill. And do stuff. Yeah, alright, cool. So this one's actually way longer than I thought. I was only doing like 45 minutes, but I didn't do a ton of stuff, but get me talking about Kingdom Hearts. I'll go on all day. It's my favorite thing. Yeah, so feel free to email the show, yourbrandtom@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter at Ibernack, IBERNACK. I have Instagram. I think it's Tom.Sincora, I think. I didn't really make the username. I just kind of wasn't paying attention and clicked around and it happened. But I post pictures of my Megazord model that I'm building. It's very fun. It's very hard. I like fucked my thumb up real bad on the Mastodon. So I like haven't really worked on it since. I fucked my thumb up so bad. It was like bleeding underneath the nail from just trauma because I like put this thing in wrong and then popped it out and it smashed. Oh, it's horrible. Horrible. Thumb is so fucked up. I haven't played a console game in like a week because it was so painful to use my thumb. But yeah, let me know. Hope you enjoyed the show. I enjoyed doing it. All right, love and kisses.